Hello and welcome. Today we begin with the latest updates from a deadly turmoil in Tanzania. The protests that erupted after a contentious election in the country seem far from over. Instead, they have now split into Tanzania's neighboring country, Kenya.
Hello, and welcome to Voice of Africa, where we bring you the untold stories shaping our continent. Tonight, our attention turns to Tanzania. A nation now engulfed in turmoil. What began as protests over a contested election has spiraled into deadly unrest, crossing borders and shaking East Africa's stability.
Elections this week in Tanzania have sparked widespread protests, leading to the deployment of the military and an internet shutdown, both unusual in what is normally a peaceful country.
The streets of Tanzania's major cities, especially Dar es Salaam, are in chaos. Protesters, mostly young citizens, are demanding one simple thing: justice at the ballot box. But instead of dialogue, they have been met with tear gas, arrests, and bullets. What makes this story even more alarming is that the violence hasn't stayed within Tanzania's borders. It has spilled into neighboring Kenya, turning the once peaceful border town of Namanga into a flashpoint of regional tension. Eyewitness footage from Namanga paints a chilling picture. Thick smoke rising from burning debris, crowds scattering in panic. The unmistakable crack of gunfire echoing across the border. Witnesses claim Tanzanian police fired tear gas canisters and even live ammunition into Kenyan territory, leaving one person injured and others running for their lives. Local Kenyan residents are furious. One resident lamented, "We have no protests here. We are peaceful. But why are they shooting at us from Tanzania's side?" His voice trembled with anger and disbelief. Another shouted, "They've crossed the line. Someone has been shot." We don't even know why these cries reflect a broader frustration, not only at the violence, but at the growing sense of helplessness felt by ordinary citizens caught between political forces. As the Tanzanian government cracks down, the chaos is no longer just a domestic issue. It's threatening the peace and trade between two of East Africa's largest economies. Back in Tanzania, the situation remains dire. For 3 consecutive days, young people have poured into the streets of Dar es Salaam, Arusha, and Mwanza. They have set up barricades, burned tires, and torn down posters of President Samia Suluhu Hassan. Their message is clear. They reject an election they say was rigged and one-sided. Officially, the government reports only 2 deaths, but opposition groups claim the toll is far higher. Over 700 people killed, many of them young protesters.
Now, the election day turned into complete chaos in Tanzania as hundreds took to the streets protesting the exclusion of President Samia Suluhu Hassan's 2 biggest rivals from the presidential race. Now, according to reports, protests broke out in Tanzania's main city of Dar es Salaam and several other cities on polling day. The police reportedly fired gunshots and tear gas to disperse the protesters, with unconfirmed reports of several people being dead.
Reports also indicate widespread arrests, disappearances, and a near-total shutdown of the internet. Videos posted before the blackout show unarmed demonstrators being dispersed violently as soldiers patrol the streets. Under heavy criticism, the government has tried to justify its actions. The Tanzanian military chief called the protesters criminals, saying, "These are people who committed acts of violence and destruction. Such criminal acts must stop immediately." But human rights organizations are pushing back. Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International have accused Tanzanian authorities of repressing political dissent and silencing critics. The protests erupted after an election that many describe as undemocratic.
I've already voted and I plead with all citizens, please come out and exercise your right to vote and elect the leaders you want.
One in which opposition candidates were either imprisoned, barred from running, or silenced through intimidation. The result? A near-total victory for the ruling party and an explosion of anger among citizens who feel robbed of their voice. But the crisis doesn't stop at politics. It's now threatening livelihoods. The unrest has disrupted cross-border trade between Tanzania and Kenya, leaving truck drivers, traders, and travelers stranded for days.
Videos showing injured protesters were shared on social media until mobile internet was switched off.
The normally busy Namanga border post is now filled with abandoned vehicles, broken stalls, and clouds of tear gas. Many small traders say they are losing their daily income, a devastating blow for those living hand-to-mouth. A local truck driver stuck at the border said, "We transport goods between Dar and Nairobi every week, but now we can't move. The road is blocked, the border is closed, and we're sleeping inside our trucks." This economic paralysis reveals just how interconnected East African nations are, and how political instability in one country can quickly ripple across the region. Political analysts are now warning that the unrest could have far-reaching implications. Nerima Waco, executive director of the Sasa Place in Nairobi, told reporters that what's unfolding is not just a Tanzanian crisis, but a continental warning. What we're witnessing in Namanga is more than a border disturbance. It's a human and democratic crisis spilling across borders, she said. Waco pointed out that tear gas, digital blackouts, and economic disruption don't stop at checkpoints. They cross boundaries, affecting traders, travelers, and entire communities linked by trade and family. Tanzania, she noted, is Kenya's fourth-largest trading partner, meaning any long-term disruption could cripple regional commerce. Even more concerning is the silence from regional institutions. Kenya's president currently chairs the East African Community, EAC, a body meant to promote stability and integration among member states. Yet as tensions rise, the EAC has remained quiet. Waco criticized the lack of leadership, saying, "We're seeing absolute silence from institutions that should be defending democracy. Where is the African Union? Where are the EAC leaders? Citizens are speaking out, but governments are quiet."
Videos showing injured protesters were shared on social media.
Her comments reflect a broader frustration shared by many Africans who see their leaders turning away when democracy is in peril. Across the continent, post-election protests are becoming alarmingly common, from Uganda to Zimbabwe, from Senegal to Sudan. In each case, citizens demand accountability while governments respond with repression. As the protests rage on, President Samia Suluhu Hassan finds herself at the center of mounting international criticism. Once hailed as a symbol of calm leadership and reform, she now faces accusations of authoritarianism. Observers say the crackdown on dissent could erase years of progress in Tanzania's democratic journey. Meanwhile, the internet blackout has created an information vacuum. Families can't reach loved ones, journalists can't verify reports, and misinformation spreads easily. It's a chilling reminder of how quickly digital repression can isolate an entire nation in the modern age. Despite the fear, many Tanzanians refuse to be silenced. Videos from before the internet shutdown show young protesters chanting "Haki, Haki," meaning justice in Swahili. Their courage reflects a growing movement among Africa's youth, one that is no longer content to watch their futures decided behind closed doors. But what happens next? Can the government restore order without more bloodshed? Can regional leaders intervene before the violence escalates further? And will this moment mark a turning point in Tanzania's history, or another chapter of unfulfilled democratic dreams? Political analyst Nerima Waco believes the answer lies within Africa itself. She said, "Our institutions must act. Our governments must listen to their citizens. Young people are demanding accountability and fair governance. These are not foreign problems. They are African problems that require African solutions." Her words echo a powerful truth. Africa's stability will not come from outside interventions, but from within. From citizens, leaders, and institutions choosing justice over silence. The tragedy unfolding in Tanzania should be a wake-up call to every nation on the continent. As night falls over Dar es Salaam and Namanga, the air remains thick with smoke and uncertainty. The world is watching, but for Tanzanians, this struggle is deeply personal. It's a fight for dignity, for democracy, and for a future where elections reflect the will of the people, not the power of the few. This is not just Tanzania's story, it's Africa's story, one of resilience, of youth rising against fear, and of borders that can no longer contain the voice of a generation demanding change. Thank you for watching Voice of Africa, where we amplify African voices and bring clarity to stories that matter. If you believe in truth, unity, and justice for our continent, make sure to like this video so that YouTube recommends it to more viewers, and subscribe to stay informed about Africa's unfolding stories. Together, we continue to speak for those who cannot be heard.